Hi pals! Today I have a slightly different video for you. This week I'm going to be doing a bullet journal setup, but it isn't inspired by anybody in particular. It is in fact inspired by a particular colour scheme, and I'm actually going to try and make my own theme for the first time. I've never done this without taking inspiration from other themes, and I'm sure that this isn't going to be 100% original, but it is from my brain, and if it's inspired, it's sort of like by accident. So today I have a colour scheme that's inspired by my birthday because I had a wonderful friend get me these really cute washi tapes and I wanted to use them, and I also don't particularly enjoy Christmas themes for December because I have a really hard time of year around December and Christmas, and it's just, I don't know, it's really difficult for me and my mental health, so I like to distance myself a little bit from that and focus a little bit more on feeling better about myself and doing something that just I like, is aesthetically pleasing, and yeah. Now I am pretty sure that I've laid out all of the stationery I'm going to use today. I will list it down in the description below, so if I have missed something or you don't know what any of these things are, they will all be listed in the description box down below. Additionally today, my partner has a new phone, so I am going to be using his old phone to get a second angle on this, so that when I cover my writing or whatever I'm doing with my hand, there'll be another angle to capture it, so that you don't miss it, and hopefully that's something that you enjoy and improves the quality of the video. Please don't hesitate to comment down below and let me know what you think. But apart from that, let's just get right into it. Hi pals, so as you can see here, I'm first going in with my little stamping kit, I guess you could call it. I've got a bunch of letters, numbers, basically an alphabet set, and a black stamping ink from Spotlight, and then I'm just going in and using that for the title page. And then when I am done, I'm going in now with a little Faber-Castell brush pen. It is really slim, but it's still brush pen, and I'm just colouring in the leaves here. As you might be able to tell, we're kind of going with a little bit of a botanical theme. This is obviously to match the washi tape, like I mentioned in the intro. And then I am going over that with another Faber-Castell. This is a fine point fine liner, and I then added some washi tape. Now I wanted to keep kind of the tiniest little hints of Christmas in there, so that's why I wanted to do something a little bit circular around the title page, because I thought it was kind of like a wreath. And then obviously I kind of leaned away from Christmas with the rest of the theme, it just being floral and with colours like pink, purple, peach. And then on the little quote page beside the title page, I wanted to have a quote that was a little bit uplifting, I guess. I didn't want it to be too corny, but maybe it is for you, I don't know. I like to think about how there is more than just the present moment, because sometimes I can get stuck in that, and sometimes I can get stuck thinking about things that haven't happened yet, so it can go both ways. But a lot of the time, like I said, in December I have sometimes a hard time, so I wanted to make sure that I was including some quotes that I could look at and think about to make me feel happy. So that's our first page, and now moving on to the calendar spread. I decided to carry on the predominantly black and pink theme, so I wanted to make some contrast, and there are some colours that you can barely see on camera, but they went really well with the colour scheme, so I kept them, and I also didn't realise how poorly they showed up on camera until I was editing this, so couldn't really take it back. I went back and forth on how I would like to set out the calendar layout. I thought for a little while about kind of just making it only horizontal lines, and I think that that would have been okay with the theme, but instead I decided to go with the rounded edges because I thought that that would sort of complement the circles that I was using as the headers for the days of the week and the little sidebars on the left. So that's what I decided to do, and then I took a little bit of inspiration. I think this was something that was sort of in the back of my mind when I was doing this page, but wasn't really an intentional inspiration, so to speak, but I decided to colour in the circles and then go around them with a kind of like scribbly circular outline. And I didn't look it up before this, and I still haven't, but the thing that made me think of that was, I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. For some reason the year 2017 is sticking in my head. I think Amanda Rach Lee did a theme for Valentine's Day. A lot of her theme was kind of based around this scribbly circular pattern where there were lots of lines, and then she kind of drew little love hearts as if they were like love heart wreaths. But yeah, that was sort of an inspiration here, but basically speaking, I just liked the idea of it being a little bit scribbly and a little bit natural because that sort of fed into the botanical flowery theme. It was still looking a little bit bare, so I decided to add a bit of washi tape. So I had all the colours laid out in the beginning of the video, but basically I just cycled through those colours to create a little dot for each day so that the number could go into the coloured dot, and I just alternated those colours. The two pinks look pretty similar, so I'm not really super happy with that, but it's okay, and it was a wider variety to do that than to not do that, so I'm okay with it. Then I just finished off the days of the week with my white gel pen, and finally I added in all the numbers for the calendar. Oh, and I forgot to mention down the bottom I just wrote, "You can do this." Again, another little quote that hopefully isn't too cheesy, but something that I will be looking at pretty frequently, and it might encourage me to get through the month. This sounds really dramatic, but I promise I'm not that bad. It's just, I don't know, I just wanted to make this month about self-care, and that's how I decided to do it. I like quotes, and they're also sort of a big part of the bullet journal community, I feel like, so it just seemed reasonable and it made sense, and that's what I wanted to go with. So now we're moving on to the habit tracker page, and on the adjacent page to the habit trackers I was going to put a mood tracker, but instead of that I decided that I wanted to try doing the line a day spread, and that is sort of my stand-in for a mood tracker because I thought that it would give me more opportunities to write about my feelings rather than just to have a single colour and not remember exactly what happened, whereas I think if I put it down in words I think that I will have a better idea of what happened that day and how I felt, and I guess how best to tackle that moving forward. And I think that that is more helpful to me than demonstrating, you know, what kind of smiley face I am today. Not that mood trackers like that are particularly unhelpful, I just wanted to try this basically and see if it makes any noticeable difference to my mental health in a time when I know that I'm going to be struggling a little bit. So for the habit trackers, I decided to just outline them rather than filling in number by number or doing any other sort of spread, because this is just really easy to lay out and maybe a little bit difficult to keep track of, but it's something that I haven't tried before again, so I wanted to include it. This is another idea that I got from Amanda Rach Lee, although I haven't seen her do it in a while, so it wasn't particularly inspired by her. That's just probably where I picked up the idea if I were to guess. So the idea with these is there's a little square for every number of the month, and obviously the shape is just the shape that the calendar would make if you just cut out the days that intersect. Wow, that's surprisingly difficult to explain. Hopefully you understand what I mean. So I've added a couple more habit trackers than I had last month because I found that they were really helpful and I was using them a lot. So this month I have exercise, no sugar, plants for watering my plants, meds for medication and vitamins, sheets for when I wash my sheets because I try to do it every 2 weeks and for some reason I find it really hard to keep track of, probably because I have really bad memory. I've got litter for my cat's kitty litter. I try to do that every second day because I wanted to find a happy medium where it is enough that, you know, they're not living in filth, but also where I'm not being wasteful. I also have a water tracker for if I drink enough water that day. I usually try to go through 2 water bottles a day. Then I have a section for cleaning because I'm lazy and I need to make sure that I motivate myself to clean somehow. And my last habit tracker is for skincare, which is basically I just moisturize and that's about it. And I just wanted to make sure that I'm doing that because sometimes, like I say, I forget and then I end up dry as heck. Then finally I'm just filling in the numbers 1 to 31 for every day of the month, so I'll do a line a day. And the reason that it's just titled lines was because I didn't want to try and cram line a day into the title. Now on the next page, I think when I finish filling it out, it will end up looking quite busy, but it is a relatively simple page. I've just got 4 different sections for a brain dump, my commissions, I've been doing a couple of art commissions lately working freelance, expenses, and a gift list. I think expenses and a gift list going together is pretty self-explanatory, but basically in December we all have some extra expenses and a lot of us are buying gifts, so I wanted to include that so that I could use it for organizational purposes. And I did the headings by using washi tape, and then just like before in the previous pages you might have seen, I cut out some black cardstock and measured it up, lined it up, and made it look like the washi tape behind it was a drop shadow, and then I wrote on top of it the headings with my white gel pen. And this one got a little bit crammed up because the black cardstock obviously doesn't have any indicators on it as to where your letters should be spaced. So even though I did plan it out beforehand, I couldn't really remember where that was, and maybe I didn't take as much time as I should have to sort of make sure that it worked, but I don't really mind it. It turned out okay. So I wrote out my brain dump, my commissions, my expenses, and my gift list, and then I outlined all of these sections with my fine liner again, just using those rounded edges so that it tied into the rest of the theme. Once I had done that, it kind of looked a little bit bland, so I added a couple of decorations, just the stem of leaves like I have on the title page, and then I kind of just added some dots, like little, I guess, magical particles, I don't know, just something to add a little bit of colour to the corners of the boxes. And I also added a little table in the expenses chart that I didn't show here because I didn't do it until later. I wasn't sure how I was going to lay that out, but basically I just have 2 columns, spendings and earnings, and then at the bottom I have a longer column just for the total, and whether that's a negative or a positive net, I'll find that at the end of the month. Also, one thing I wanted to mention, I don't know why because it's relatively trivial, but when I was sticking down the little bits of black cardstock, I ran out of glue tape. It's just like that little blue stick glue tape thing that you could see in the intro, and it's a really cool tool, but I ran out of it as I was doing this and I didn't notice until, you know, it was too late and I didn't want to run down to the store in the middle of the video. So what I ended up doing was cutting little slices of washi tape and I just rolled them over on themselves, and then they were like double-sided tape so I could stick down the black cardstock to the bullet journal paper. The markers that I'm using to do the little particles in the corners of the boxes are called Zig mild liners. Now moving on to the final page, I have my weekly spread. Now when I finished this, I didn't really think that it looked too bland, but now looking back on it, I do, so I'm probably going to add some more of those particles and little stems of leaves in the corners as well. But basically all I did here was section the page on the left into boxes that were all even except for the weekend, and I just split the last box into 2. Not because I don't do much on the weekend, although I kind of do not do much on the weekend, but as well I just needed them to be even and it makes the most sense to split that box in 2. So that's why I did that, and then I gave them all the alternating colours that I've been using throughout the theme, and then to keep the black incorporated I used just a regular black fine liner to number the days. Then on the right hand side I have my task list, and I use a method that I can't remember the name of, but I was introduced to by Elizabeth Turn, who is Plant-Based Bride on YouTube. She has a whole video on it. I will link it in a card up in the corner here. But anyway, basically it's so that you can put in tasks when you don't know exactly what day, or they don't have to be done on a particular day, and then you can sort of just do them and then mark them off. And yeah, that's it. So now I'm going to show you the final flip through. I hope you enjoyed this week. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you liked it. This is the first, like I said, the first theme that I've ever tried to do myself. Please feel free to recreate it and show me your recreations if you do. I'd love to see that. Please remember to like and subscribe and hit the bell button for notifications when I upload if that's something that you want to do. Share it if you think it's worth sharing, and I'll see you next week. Bye pals.